My mother had given her former student nearly $1 million 10 years after she'd last been her teacher. On the wedding day, she stood at the altar as the bride's honorary elder, microphone in hand. Her voice trembled, soft and deliberate. Life hasn't been kind to Lily. To lose both parents so young, it changes a person. You hear people say teachers leave a mark that lasts a lifetime. As the one who saw her through those hardest years, stepping up just felt necessary. Lily Green clutched my mother's arm, tears already glistening. "Thank you, Mrs. White," she whispered, emotion thick in her throat. "For everything. You've been more of a mother to me than anyone." They embraced right there on stage, and the room erupted in applause. The wedding host lifted his mic, voice warm with admiration. "A teacher like Mrs. White doesn't come along often. This kind of love, it goes beyond duty, beyond family." A murmur of agreement rippled through the guests. I wiped my cheeks dry and walked toward the platform. Every eye followed me, curious, confused. I took the microphone from my mother's loose grip and spoke. Quietly, clearly.
"Yeah.
"Funny, isn't it?" I said, my tone light, almost conversational. "If she's such a saint, why did she steal her own daughter's boyfriend just to hand him to her favorite student?" As soon as my words hung in the air, the room plunged into dead silence, followed by a surge of buzzing. Murmurs. Every gaze, like a spotlight, zeroed in on us. My mother's face turned ashen. She lunged forward and grabbed my arm. "Have you lost your mind?" she hissed under her breath, her voice a low roar. "Whatever you have to say, we'll discuss it in private. It's Lily's wedding day. Are you determined to ruin it?" I turned my head to look at the couple entwined on the stage. Lily clung to John Harrison, her eyes red and swollen, a fragile bloom after a downpour, all tremulous innocence and wounded grace. And John, the look he gave me held nothing but undisguised disgust and contempt. A bitter laugh tore from my throat. "Discuss it in private? Why should I?" I shook off her hand. My voice wasn't loud, but it was clear enough for the nearest people to hear. Was I wrong? My voice cut through the silence. "You told me he wasn't good enough for me. You said you'd rather die than see me with him." I stared straight at her, each word deliberate. "So tell me, Mom, why is he now the husband of your most beloved student? Why?" "Enough, Jessica." John finally stepped forward, pulling Lily tighter against him. His gaze was pure disgust, like I was something he'd stepped in. "If it weren't for Mrs. White," he spat, "if she hadn't made me see who you really are, I'd have wasted my life on you." The air left my lungs. "My what?" My mother's face changed dramatically. "John, don't. Mrs. White, you don't have to cover for her anymore." John cut her off, the hatred in his eyes almost swallowing me whole. "You were rotten back in high school. A bully. A liar. Sleeping around. God, you even got pregnant and took care of it for some deadbeat who wasn't even at our school." He shook his head, the picture of righteous anger. "Mrs. White tried everything to get through to you. It tore her apart, watching you throw your life away." I listened to John's accusations. These things I had never done, yet they felt eerily familiar, spilling one by one from the mouth of the man I once loved. A sound burst out of me, sharp, humorless, almost a choke. It was a laugh, but it felt like something breaking. And then the tears came, hot and blurring, tracking down my face even as my shoulders shook with the force of it. Again. It was happening again. Ever since I was little, it was always like this. Every mistake Lily made, I was the one who took the blame. Everything Lily wanted, she snatched from me. My laughter grew louder, even as tears streamed down my face like a dam had broken. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. I stopped laughing abruptly, my eyes locked on my mother. My voice was hoarse, like a broken bellows.
"Mom,
why? Tell me why." My question echoed through the suddenly silent banquet hall. "Am I not your own flesh and blood? Why would you make up these lies? Why would you destroy me like this? What the hell am I to you?" As my final words fell, The hall went utterly still. John's expression shifted. He took a step forward, his brow furrowed into a deep knot, his tone thick with disbelief. Made up? Jessica, what are you trying to say? That Mrs. White lied to me. I followed his gaze and saw Lily's face had gone pale, a flicker of guilt flashing rapidly in her eyes. She subtly tugged at my mother's sleeve. My mother snapped back to attention. An expression of heart-wrenching anguish instantly spread across her face. She stepped forward, trying to grab hold of me. Jess, stop making a scene. It's Lily's big day. Whatever it is, we'll talk about it at home. Her voice carried a deliberate sob. She turned to the guests, forcing out an awkward, pained smile. Please forgive this scene. As her mother, I'm just sorry. But some lines can't be crossed. John is a good man, and I won't let him be dragged into whatever this is. Not today. I opened my mouth, but my throat felt clogged. For a long moment, no sound came out. Even now, she was twisting the truth, still throwing dirt on me. My heart ached as if pierced by countless needles, a dense, spreading pain. Tears I could no longer hold back fell silently, one after another. Seeing me crying, breath hitching, a flicker of something, almost like reluctance, passed through my mother's eyes, so fast it was barely there. She took a step closer, gently took my hand, and leaned in to whisper in my ear, so only I could hear. Jess, Lily, she's had it hard. No father, no mother, all alone in the world. This wedding is a once-in-a-lifetime event for her. Help her out just this once more, okay? This is on me, sweetheart. I let you down. We'll fix this later, I promise. There it was again. That phrase. Help her out. Hearing the near-pleading tone in her voice, I cried even harder.
But why?
Why should I? I wrenched my hand from hers and took a step back, my voice a tear-choked scream. I've helped her plenty of times. Why can't someone help me for once? My voice echoed through the silent banquet hall, laden with endless grievance. Remember in 10th grade? When Lily was the one facing expulsion for bullying. You came to me with tears in your eyes, begging me to be the bigger person. You told me I could take the hit, my record was spotless, my grades were bulletproof. It'll just be a note in your file, you said. It'll blow over. And what did it cost me? My early decision acceptance to Stanford. Revoked. A decade of straight A's, perfect SATs, volunteer hours, all of it. Worthless because of you. As my words landed, a collective gasp rippled through the hall. The way the guests looked at Lily shifted instantly. John looked utterly shocked, turning to stare at Lily beside him, his eyes full of confusion. No, that's not true. Lily trembled all over, shaking her head repeatedly, her voice shrill in denial. Jessica, you're lying. Don't you dare pin your own mess on me. I never bullied anyone. Lying? I let out a cold laugh, tears still streaming. The year we were seniors, you got involved with that dropout, got pregnant. My mom drove you to the clinic, and a teacher saw you both coming out. To save your precious reputation, she came to me. She asked me to tell everyone that I was the one who was pregnant. You know what they called me that whole year? That girl. The one who got herself in trouble. Shameless. A slut. I couldn't walk to my locker without people shutting up and staring. I stopped looking at people. Teachers, friends, didn't matter. I'd have nightmares where I could still hear them laughing. That's why I started on the pills, Mom. That's where the depression diagnosis came from. Is that a lie too? My mother's face turned livid. She rushed forward, trying to cover my mouth. Enough, Jessica. Have you completely lost it? Why drag up these old stories? I shoved her away hard, taking another step back. My voice was hoarse, cracking, yet strangely firm. Why can't I talk about it? Why shouldn't I? These things have been weighing me down for years. Why should I carry her disgrace for the rest of my life? I turned to look at John, then at everyone present, and continued. And then, freshman year of college, she got pregnant again. Brought a baby home. No father in sight. And Mom came to me. Again. She begged me to say it was mine. To let everyone believe I was the one who'd thrown my life away. That I was the irresponsible slut. I was too ashamed to come home for almost a year. Do you have any idea what they were saying about me on the street? The looks I got. I took a deep breath and turned my gaze back to my mother. If that child hadn't died later, I'd probably still be living with the label single mom hanging over me. Mom, tell me, how much longer do I have to pay for her mistakes? The moment the last word left my lips, my mother's hand shot out and slapped me across the face. My head snapped to the side. A searing, fiery pain instantly spread across my cheek. Enough, Jessica. She pointed a trembling finger at me, her chest heaving, her voice sharp and piercing. How much longer are you going to spout this nonsense? I covered my face, stunned, unable to process what had just happened for several long moments. This was the first time she had ever hit me. The sheer force behind it didn't feel like how a mother should strike her own daughter. Before I could react, she had already turned away. Her eyes red-rimmed, she bowed deeply to the hall full of guests, her voice gravelly with fake emotion. Everyone, I am so sorry you had to witness that. Jessica, she hasn't been well. For a long time. There's a sickness there, a deep jealousy she's always had toward Lily. She can't bear to see her have any joy. She wiped at the corner of her eye where no tear existed, pouring on the performance. I suppose it's my fault, really. When Lily's family met with tragedy, lost both parents. As her teacher, seeing her alone like that, I couldn't just walk away. So, I brought her into our home. I moved too fast. I didn't handle it right with Jessica. And she's held on to that hurt all these years. It's festered into this bitterness toward Lily. But to go this far, to invent such ugly, vicious stories to destroy her? I never thought her jealousy could turn into something this cruel. Then she whipped her head around to look at me, an expression of profound heartbreak threatening to overflow from her eyes. Jessica, you are so incredibly selfish. I raised you alone after your father died. I did everything I could. And to see you become this? I am so disappointed, Jessica. I'm not perfect. God knows I've made mistakes. But to stand here and watch you try to deliberately, maliciously hurt someone? That I never saw in you until today. She took a step closer, her voice suddenly rising. Jessica, you will apologize to Lily. Right here, right now. And you will tell everyone, every single person here, that the things you just said were vicious, hateful lies. Or so help me, Jessica, we are done. You walk out that door, and you are no longer my daughter. Hearing this, I looked up at her. A sharp, drilling pain shot through my heart. The guests below the stage, having heard my mother's speech, instantly erupted into an uproar. The looks they gave me were filled with scorn and condemnation. So, it was jealousy? How pathetic. What a tragedy. After everything Mrs. White's done for people, to have her own daughter turn out like this. A few of my mother's former students stepped forward, chiming in to support her. Mrs. White was the most dedicated teacher in our school. She never showed an ounce of favoritism. This is just Jessica acting out. Again. She's always had a dramatic streak. We've known Lily for years. She's a sweet girl. What possible reason would Jessica have to destroy her reputation like this? Lily chose that moment to take my mother's hand, shaking her head with a sob. Please, Mrs. White, don't be upset. It's okay. I can take it. Jessica is your daughter. Your only daughter. Please don't let me come between you. No. My mother gripped Lily's hand tightly in return, her tone resolute. This is serious. I've spent my life helping other people's children find their way. And yet, I couldn't even guide my own. What a tragic failure. As she spoke, she suddenly clutched her chest, her body going limp as if about to collapse. Lily and John reacted quickly, supporting her from either side. John turned to glare at me, fury blazing in his eyes. Jessica, for God's sake, just apologize. Are you trying to give your mother a heart attack right here? Lily joined in, her tones sweetly reasonable yet wounded. Jess, I don't even need you to apologize to me. Just make peace with Mrs. White. Stop upsetting her, please. Watching their little act, a sharp laugh burst from me. Apologize? I haven't done a single thing wrong. What exactly am I apologizing for? I met my mother's gaze and said, slowly and clearly, you know what?
Fine.
If that's how you see it, then we're done. You have your perfect students. They're all the children you ever wanted. You won't even notice I'm gone. My mother was left speechless, her eyes bloodshot, her whole body trembling with rage. The whispers in the room swelled into a low, judgmental roar, a symphony of ungrateful and how could she. And after all her mother's done, I couldn't be bothered with the harsh criticism anymore. I just turned and walked out, moving through the stunned guests like a ghost, until the heavy doors of the banquet hall swung shut behind me. Back home, I took out my phone and called my friend Amy Carter, who worked at the newspaper. Amy, I need a favor. I want to put out a statement to the paper. I am done. I am cutting my mother out of my life for good. The next day, my statement hit the city like a shockwave. My friend Amy had a way with words. She laid out all my grievances of the past years, my mother's favoritism, the times I took the fall for Lily, presenting them clearly and completely. The moment the article was published, it caused an uproar online. Overnight, my social media was flooded with thousands of private messages and comments. Sending you so much love. No one should have a mother like that. Get out and don't look back. I'm literally in tears. What she did costing you Stanford and your mental health. That's unforgivable. We believe you. 100%. This is on your mom and her perfect, manipulative second daughter. I scrolled through every message, the words blurring as my eyes stung. A feeling I'd carried for so long, a weight so dense I could barely breathe, finally loosened its grip, just a fraction. It was as if the cement in my chest had cracked, letting in one gasp of clean air.
So someone out there believed me.
But that warmth lasted less than half a day before my mother made her move. Armed with her National Teacher of the Year title, she sat down for an exclusive with the city's top news channel. On camera, she was a wreck. The woman who'd always been so put together looked hollowed out, her face drawn and her eyes puffy slits. It was the portrait of a woman utterly undone. Through tears, she laid out her case. I'd been unstable since I was a girl. Severe depression. Delusions. She even floated the term antisocial tendencies. Then came the proof. A whole stack of it. There were suggestive chat logs with various men, blurry photos of me entering and leaving hotels, and one sheet, a medical report with my name on it, diagnosing major depressive disorder with psychotic features. She cried, saying my father had passed early, how hard it had been for her, a single mother alone, to raise. She said it was all because she had objected to my relationship with John, and John had ultimately fallen for Lily. So I, driven by jealous hatred, had fabricated lies, disrupted their wedding, wanting to destroy everyone. Once the interview aired, her former students, our old neighbors, all came forward to speak for her. Mrs. White is the best person I've ever known. She helped my family when we had nothing. Her character is beyond question. We've known Jessica since she was little. She was always a difficult child. Volatile. Sarah's heart was constantly breaking over her. Lily is a sweetheart. The idea that she could do any of those things is absurd. This is clearly Jessica's fabrication from start to finish. The online tide turned in an instant. The same netizens who had sympathized with and encouraged me just hours ago now turned their guns on me, attacking with the vilest language. So the daughter's the crazy one. That explains everything. What a piece of work. Gotta love the annual internet meltdown, saintly teacher versus ungrateful psycho. Spoiler, the psycho loses. She raised you alone, and this is how you thank her? You don't deserve to breathe the same air. Looking at the flood of filth online, I managed a bitter smile. Most of the evidence my mother released was fabricated, but that diagnosis for major depression, that was real. The shame I'd carried for Lily had done its work long ago. It had hollowed me out from the inside, leaving nothing but brittle shell and old rot. I truly hadn't expected my mother to go this far for Lily's sake. What a dedicated, responsible teacher she was.
Oh well.
It wasn't the first time she'd sacrificed me, was it? I was used to it by now, wasn't I? Just get through it, and it'll be okay. I repeated this to myself like a mantra. But the next second, my phone rang sharply. It was Amy. As soon as I answered, her tearful voice came through. Jess, I'm so sorry, that article that might have to be taken down. Your mom and a bunch of her students filed a joint complaint saying we published false news.
The
higher-ups are putting pressure on us now. I might be suspended. Jess, I'm sorry. I really can't help you anymore. Her words left me stunned. On the other end of the line, Amy finally broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. Jess, I know you're not that kind of person. I know everything you said is true. But why, oh, why would your mother do this to you? She asked me through her tears. Your mom, why doesn't she love you?
Yeah.
Why doesn't my mother love me? That question was like a rusty, blunt knife, twisting over and over in my chest. Finally, the tears fell in a sudden torrent. After a few seconds of silence, I sniffled and spoke in an unnervingly calm tone. It's okay, Amy. I'm sorry I got you into this. Don't worry. It'll all be over soon. I ended the call, opened a live stream app, and hit go live. Viewers flooded in by the tens of thousands. Within seconds, the comment section exploded. A torrent of hate, mockery, and demands for me to apologize began to scroll, faster than anyone could read. I ignored them. I just walked to the window, faced the screen, and spoke softly. I swear, everything I said before is the truth. I haven't lied. I haven't fabricated anything. I know I can't produce proof. But I paused, a faint, indescribable smile touching my lips. But I can use my life to prove it. Then, under the watch of hundreds of thousands in the live stream, I pulled open the window and stepped up onto the ledge. The fierce wind from the 28th floor rushed in instantly, whipping my clothes violently. I took one last look at the phone screen and whispered, Mom, please don't make things hard for my friend anymore. Well, Mom, is this what you wanted? Is this enough of an apology for you? With a final, miserable laugh, amidst countless horrified screams and exploding comments, I spread my arms and fell backward. The wind was strong. I fell like a leaf, drifting lightly downward. In my last glimpse, the ground rushed up to meet me, and the phone screen exploded with dense, panicked text. Then the world went black, and light again. I floated in midair, looking down at the flower bed below, at that shocking pool of red, and the twisted body wearing familiar clothes lying beside it. Blood slowly seeped out, staining the surrounding greenery. So this was the view after death. No pain, just a feeling of lightness, as if the wind could blow me away at any moment. Within minutes, sirens cut through the air, followed by screams and the frantic scuffle of feet. The yellow tape went up, cordoning off my small patch of sidewalk. Someone knelt by my body, checked, shook their head, and pulled a white sheet over it. I drifted closer, looking at the wrist exposed beneath the sheet. It still wore that cheap bracelet my mother had given me for my 18th birthday. So ugly. I'd thought it was ugly back then too. But because it was a rare birthday gift she remembered, I'd worn it all these years. Now it was stained with blood and dust. The crowd was dispersed. The scene was cleaned up quickly. I was wondering whether to follow the coroner's van when I saw a taxi come screeching around the corner, braking hard at the curb. My mother nearly fell getting out of the cab. Her hair was wild, her blouse buttoned wrong, her feet stuffed into worn bedroom slippers. "Let me through," she screamed, her voice raw. "That's my daughter." She screamed, pushing past the police officer trying to hold her back, and threw herself at the stretcher, covered with the white sheet. The police held her back, preventing her from lifting the sheet. She fell to her knees, her hands gripping the edge of the stretcher so tightly her knuckles turned white. She lifted her head. Her makeup was a ruined mess, tears and snot smeared together. Her eyes were empty, as they fixed on the shape under the sheet. Then she let out a wail I had never heard before, a raw, animal sound of anguish.
Jess.
My baby. Her whole body went limp. She slumped forward, her forehead pressing against the cold concrete, her shoulders shaking violently. I was wrong, baby. I was so wrong. Please come back, just come back. I shouldn't have hit you. I shouldn't have said those things. I'm sorry. I know now, I know. She cried as if her heart was being torn out, repeating, I was wrong, over and over. How strange. In all my memories from childhood till now, my mother was always the composed, dignified, reasonable Mrs. White. I had never seen her lose composure like this. Never seen her cry so wretchedly. So she could cry for me too. Pity I couldn't hear it anymore. My body was loaded into the vehicle. My mother tried to follow, but was stopped by the police. They said next of kin needed to cooperate with the investigation. Just then, several reporters with cameras shoved their way through, microphones practically jabbing into her
Face.
Mrs. White, do you have any response to the allegations your daughter Jessica made before her live stream? Suicide. She claimed you've long favored your student Lily Green, making her take the blame multiple times. Is that true? Do you regret your actions now? Tears still streaked her face. Her eyes were unfocused. Her lips moved slightly. Suddenly, the surroundings grew quiet. Everyone waited for her answer. Time seemed to stretch. She opened her mouth. Her throat worked. Her voice came out terribly hoarse. I'm sorry. She looked into the camera, fresh tears welling up. I wasn't a good mother. My heart. No, the heart I no longer possessed seemed to give a faint twitch. Was she going to say it? In front of the cameras, in front of everyone following the story, was she finally going to tell the truth? I floated closer. Then, I heard a familiar, tearful voice call from the edge of the crowd. Mrs. White. Lily shoved her way to the front, her eyes swollen from crying. She rushed to support my swaying mother, her voice trembling. Mrs. White, please don't. Let's go home first, okay? Seeing her, my mother stiffened slightly. The pain and struggle in her eyes churned like a tidal wave, finally settling into a kind of lifeless emptiness. She looked at Lily, then at the waiting cameras. Her lips pressed into a tight line. Finally, she closed her eyes, letting Lily support her as she stumbled, step by step, away from the scene. She didn't say another word. My soul hovered nearby, watching their backs as they leaned on each other, gradually walking away. Just like countless times before, when they would go out together, leaving me alone at home. I tried to move my mouth into something like a smile. Nothing happened. My face felt like it wasn't mine anymore. There it was again. In the end, the choice was never me. Even in death, nothing changed. A gust of wind blew past. My consciousness was gently nudged, and I found myself involuntarily following the coroner's van. Whatever. Might as well go see. See where this ungrateful daughter, this lunatic, would end up. My death didn't just make news, it became the news. The internet split wide open. 3 of the top 5 trending topics had my name in them. Hashtag Jessica Miller live stream suicide. Hashtag the truth proven by death. Hashtag was Sarah White a good mother. The comments became war zones.
She's dead.
She jumped off a building. I don't believe she'd lie with her own life on the line. Finally, someone gets it. Sarah White and Lily Green are murderers. Period. Right? Because suicidal people are always reliable narrators. She was mentally ill. The diagnosis is right.
There.
Classic last fuck you. Couldn't handle her own life, so she tried to take them down with her.
Vile.
Did you hear her mother's I'm sorry? That wasn't grief. That was a confession.
Wow.
A mother grieves and you turn it into proof of guilt? You people are sick. The arguments raged on. Many reporters, smelling blood, swarmed the school where my mother worked. Outside the principal's office, downstairs at her apartment building, even at the grocery market. But my mother had taken an extended leave. She shut herself in at home, refusing to see anyone. I floated in her living room, watching her. In just a few days, she looked like a different person. Her hair had gone mostly gray, her eyes were hollow, and all the color had drained from her skin. She sat on the sofa, holding a thick, old photo album in her arms. It was my childhood album, its cover edges worn and frayed. Her bony fingers traced the photos over and over. I was a bald, grinning baby in that one, all folds and drool. Mom looked like a kid herself, her hair in a high ponytail, holding me like she wasn't quite sure how. She was smiling, but it was shy, like she was surprised to be there at all. Me at 6, in my first fancy dress for the kindergarten graduation. I'm clutching a certificate, beaming. Mom has a hand on my shoulder, but her eyes are looking past the camera, already on to the next thing she had to. Then me at 10, winning a writing competition, holding the certificate. She stood behind me, a hand on my shoulder, but her eyes were looking off camera, as if in a hurry. She would stare at a photo, and then the tears would come. Her face would drop into the open album, her whole body trembling with silent sobs. Jess, my little Jess. Mom was wrong. Mom was always too busy, always made you wait. After a while, she'd smile again, looking at a goofy picture of me at 7 with a missing front tooth, smiling, until tears streamed down. Look at you, such a little troublemaker. Then the smile would vanish, and she'd start apologizing again. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have made you take the blame for Lily's disciplinary mark. I was foolish. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have ruined your reputation with those stories. I was afraid Lily would do something drastic. I thought you were my child. You were strong. You could handle it. She went on like this, crying, laughing, talking to herself. Like a bizarre, one-woman show. I floated beside her, my heart perfectly calm. Like watching a tragic movie that had nothing to do with me. Those belated tears and apologies felt weightless, unable to land on my heart.
They were meaningless now.
The only bit of good news came from Amy. Because of the firestorm my death sparked, the paper held its ground. My story stayed up and Amy kept her
job.
She posted a long message on her feed, no picture attached. The truth may be delayed, but it won't stay silent forever. I'm sorry, my friend. This is all I could do for you. Reading her words, I felt the old, familiar ache swell behind my eyes, but nothing came.
The tears were gone.
That afternoon, the doorbell rang. My mother acted as if she hadn't heard, not moving a muscle. The bell rang insistently. Finally, John's voice came from outside. Mrs. White. I know you're in there. Open the door. My mother finally stirred. Slowly, she walked over and opened the door. John stood at the doorstep. His eyes were bloodshot, his face unshaven, none of the assured confidence from the wedding day left. The moment he stepped inside, he dropped to his knees with a thud, right in front of my mother. My mother flinched, taking a step back. John, you? Mrs. White. John looked up, his voice raspy, carrying a desperate, reckless edge. I don't care anymore. I don't give a damn what the truth really is. I'm just begging you, help Lily.
Help me.
His eyes were red, tears falling. We can't even leave the house now. Lily lost her job. My company put me on suspension. People online curse us every day. Call us murderers. Say, we drove Jessica to her death. Our lives are completely ruined. He knelt forward, grabbing the hem of my mother's pants. You did this, Mrs. White. You're the one who told me to leave Jessica. You pushed Lily at me, told me how sweet she was, how lost, how she needed someone stable. You said Jessica was damaged, that she'd drag me down. You said Lily was the right choice. His voice grew louder, choked with tears and anger. You chose her. You made this happen. You have to fix this. You have to go out there and tell them they're wrong. However you have to do it. You have to take responsibility for all of this. My mother looked down at him for a long, long time. Her face showed no expression. The light in her eyes dimmed bit by bit. Then, she let out a soft, hollow laugh. It was a sound filled with endless weariness. Take responsibility. She repeated the words, then bent down, slowly but firmly prying John's fingers from her pants. You should. Go. Her reply was flat, devoid of all emotion. I understand. John was stunned, clearly not expecting this reaction. He started to say something more, but my mother had already turned her back, walked to the sofa, and
picked up the photo album again.
She didn't look at him anymore.
Go on.
Closed the door. John remained frozen for a few seconds, his expression shifting through several shades. Finally, gritting his teeth, he stumbled to his feet and slammed the door shut on his way out. The loud bang echoed through the empty house. I floated in the air, watching my mother's hunched back. She stroked the photo of my smiling face, her shoulders trembling slightly. I knew what she was thinking. Just as John said, she had to take responsibility. And the way to do that, I could already guess. It was, inevitably, to sacrifice me all over again. Use my mental illness, my extremism, my jealous hatred to preserve her reputation as a good teacher, to pave the way for the good girl she had chosen, Lily. How utterly pointless. Suddenly, I felt so tired. Why was it, even as a ghost, I couldn't escape this? Why did I have to watch myself being discarded, smeared, used as a stepping stone, over and over, even after death? This was more suffocating than the moment I jumped. I didn't want to stay here anymore. I turned and passed through the wall. The sunlight outside was blinding. I wanted to find Amy. At least by her side, I could still feel a little bit of warmth that belonged to Jessica Miller. I floated to Amy's apartment. She was sitting at her computer, fingers flying across the keyboard, her eyes red-rimmed, muttering to herself. On her screen was the comment section of a trending topic. She was in a heated argument with a user called Rational Observer. You have no idea what you're talking about. You never met Sarah White. You didn't see her perform. Oh, a piece of paper proves everything? Her mother probably bought that diagnosis. So she's dead. That means we get to write her story for her? You're disgusting. She hammered at the keys, each strike sharp and angry. Tears fell in heavy, silent drops, smearing the letters beneath them. I floated over and sat down beside her. Even though I couldn't feel temperature, the icy wasteland in my heart seemed to let in a faint, warm breeze. At least in this world, there was still one person who was this angry, this heartbroken for me. Not for Mrs. White's daughter. Not for the mental patient. Just for me. Amy eventually wore herself out with the arguing. She stopped, stared at the screen, breathing heavily. She absent-mindedly refreshed the page. Suddenly, her whole body went rigid. Her eyes widened enormously, glued to the screen as if she'd seen something truly horrifying. Then she let out a short, sharp ah and clapped a hand over her mouth. Large tears, without any warning, gushed forth. Not the angry crying from before. This was a mix of shock, grief, and a strange kind of release. She even cried so hard her whole body shook, curling up in her chair. What's wrong? I asked instinctively, though she couldn't hear. I hurriedly leaned closer to her computer screen. At the top of the browser was the homepage of a local news site. The headline, bold and glaring. I admit I was not a good mother. Sarah White. The publisher ID was my mother's verified account, Sarah White. Posted 10 minutes ago. Amy cried, gasping for breath, her fingers trembling as she clicked on the article. I held my breath and read. The article was long. My mother wrote in a tone of near confession, detailing her journey. She said she had taught for a lifetime. The identity of teacher had almost become her entire faith and her shackle. In her heart, students always came first, especially those who needed saving. She neglected her husband, who died young. She neglected her own young daughter. She thought her husband would understand. She thought her daughter would understand when she grew up. She said that before her sophomore year of high school, Lily had indeed been an excellent, bright girl. Good grades, loved to laugh, the president of the drama club.
Until that nightmare evening.
Her father, drunk and violent, accidentally killed her mother, then jumped to his own death. Overnight, Lily became an orphan. The light in her eyes went out. She started skipping school, fighting, hanging out with dropouts. Her grades plummeted. Watching that child, who was once like a little sun, wither and fall so quickly it felt like a knife twisting in my heart. I was her homeroom teacher. I felt responsible for pulling her back. So, despite objections at home, I brought her into my house. I thought giving her a home might warm that cold heart back up. I read that part and almost laughed. How noble, I thought. What a saint. Then she got to the first time I covered for Lily. Lily was involved in a fight. The other students' parents raised hell at the school, demanding severe punishment. I thought at the time Jess has always been sensible, her grades are good. A black mark on her record wouldn't affect her much. She still had me, her mother. She had a home. But Lily was different. She only had me left. If she got that disciplinary record, if she was labeled a bad student, she might really be ruined. So, I cried and begged Jess to help Lily, to help her mom. I told her, be the bigger person, Jess. She has no one else. Jess looked at me with tears in her own eyes, and she agreed. At the time, I felt terrible, but also a part of me was so relieved. Relieved she was reasonable. Relieved the problem just went away. But I never imagined, with the first time came a second, a third. Lily got involved with that boy, got pregnant. I panicked. I was terrified if this got out, her life would be over. I thought of Jess again. I begged her. Jess, please. Just say it was you. You're young, they'll forget. Lily won't survive this. She just looked at me. Didn't say a word. Just nodded. I found out later the kids at school called her a slut for a year. When Lily brought the baby home, I did it again. The same lie. I was an addict. I kept betting my own daughter's reputation, her future, on the chance that Lily might turn her life around. I told myself Jess was strong. She could handle it. A little gossip, a little shame, it was nothing. And Lily was so fragile. One more push and she'd break. Jess had a family. Lily only had me. I got used to it. To choosing Lily. To ignoring the look in my own daughter's eyes. I convinced myself it was fair. Until Jess stood up at that wedding and tore the whole facade down. Until she was on that ledge, asking me if her apology was good enough. Until I watched her fall. That's when I finally woke up. I was so busy saving a student, I killed my own child. I have no regrets about the lives I touched as a teacher. But the debt I owe my daughter, I can never repay. I was wrong. So wrong it can't be measured. I am beyond forgiveness. Today, I'm telling the truth. Lily Green bullied her classmates. Lily Green got pregnant in high school and had an abortion. Lily Green had a baby and left it with me. Jessica Miller was innocent. She spent 10 years carrying a guilt that wasn't hers. And she died to prove it. I failed as a mother. I am the guilty one. The article ended there. Chapter 8. A few photos were attached. One was a blurry photo of the school's disciplinary decision from back then. The name of the disciplined student was circled. I could vaguely make out Jessica Miller. But next to it, written in tiny pencil, was for Lily. Another was an old, not very clear photo of Lily in high school, arms around a dropout, which could be still recognized her. And one more, a copy of the birth certificate for the baby that later died. In the field for mother's name, Lily Green. My hands trembled. She'd actually said it. After countless silences, denials, sacrifices of me. After my death turned the story into a wildfire, she had finally laid the truth bare for everyone to see. This long overdue, tear and blood-stained letter of confession. I stared at the screen. I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel released. Only an endless, boundless weariness and desolation.
Mom.
Do you know? If you had written this letter sooner, the first time you asked me to cover for her, when I was mocked by the whole school, when I was diagnosed with depression and called you crying, even if just at the wedding, you had taken my hand and said, Mom believes you, everything would have been different.
But now,
it's far too late. I'm already dead. What meaning does your apology, your truth, hold for me now? Its only use is probably to completely destroy yourself and the other girl you fought so hard to protect. How ironic. I tried to twist my mouth into something, a smile, a sneer, anything. My face wouldn't obey. That letter was like a nuclear bomb, flattening all previous arguments. Public opinion reversed instantly, faster than turning a page. The voices attacking me receded like a tide. In their place came a mountain-toppling, ocean-surging wave of rage, directed at my mother and Lily. Holy shit. It was all true. That woman is a monster. 10 years. She made her own kid a scapegoat for a decade. What kind of mother does that? So Lily Green was the bully. The one sleeping around. The one who had the baby. And she played the victim this whole time? Sarah White didn't just fail as a mother. She destroyed her daughter. My God, Jessica. I can't stop crying.
What did they do to you? Name.
Address. Phone numbers. They don't get to hide after this. My mother's social media accounts were flooded. Countless DMs, comments, tags, all curses and abuse. Lily and John's information was dug up too. Workplace, home address, phone numbers, all made public. It was said that where Lily and John live now, someone had splashed red paint on their door, writing, "Murderers." They truly didn't dare leave the house. I floated in Amy's apartment, watching her wipe her tears while scrolling through news, murmuring, "Jess, do you see, everyone finally knows the truth?" I nodded. I saw. But so what? A few afternoons later, the sky was overcast. I floated back to my mother's desolate home. She seemed to have barely left the house. It was even messier. She sat on the sofa, the photo album spread open before her, her eyes empty as she gazed out the window. Then, the front door shuddered under a series of furious blows. Lily's voice, shrill and fraying, cut through the wood. "Mrs. White, open this door. I know you're in there." My mother's body gave an almost imperceptible shudder. She slowly stood up, walked over, and opened the
door.
Lily burst in like a whirlwind. Her hair was wild, her eyes frighteningly swollen and red. None of the pitiful, fragile pretense remained on her face now, only twisted rage and madness. "Why? Sarah White, tell me why." She used my mother's full name, her voice piercingly sharp. My mother looked at her, her expression blank, just tired. "Lily, calm down. Calm down." "How can I calm down?" Lily rushed up to her, almost nose to nose. "How am I supposed to calm down now? It was you. From the very beginning, you were the one who brought me home. You said you'd treat me like your own daughter. You said whatever Jessica had, I would have too. You said you'd protect me. I believed you. I listened to everything you said. And you. What was that thing you posted online? You've ruined me. Do you have any idea? She shrieked, spittle flying onto my mother's face. Now everyone knows. Everyone knows I was a bully. Knows I had an abortion. Knows I had a kid out of wedlock. John served me papers. He says I tricked him. That I'm a liar. I lost my job. All my friends blocked me. People spit at me on the street. I'm finished. My whole life is over. My mother watched her hysterical outburst quietly. Only after she finished did she speak softly, her voice hoarse. Lily, those things you did them. I only told the truth. The truth. Lily let out a crazed laugh, as if hearing the world's biggest joke. She took a step back, looking my mother up and down, her eyes filled with venomous mockery. Sarah White, stop putting on this act. Fair? You're talking to me about fair? You took pity on me back then, brought me home, gave me warmth. I was grateful. I really thought of you as my mom, but were you really doing it for me? You did it for the spotlight, for the Teacher of the Year halo, to feed your own savior complex. In your heart, I was never a daughter. I was a project, a tool to prove how great, how selfless you were. Jessica was your real daughter. You knew that perfectly well. That's why every time something happened, your first thought was to sacrifice her. Because you couldn't stand your perfect project having a flaw. You were good to me? Don't make me laugh. Every bit of good you ever did for me was paid for with Jessica's life. You are the most hypocritical, the most selfish, the most disgusting person of all. My mother was stunned by this barrage of accusations. Her eyes widened, the color drained from her face, her lips trembled. You, how can you say that? The only one I never wronged was you. I pulled you out of the mud, gave you food and clothes, paid for your schooling, paved your way. I even for your sake, lost my own daughter. The only one I never wronged was you, Lily. Her voice was tearful, full of the pain and grievance of being misunderstood. Shut up. Lily went completely berserk. She waved her arms, her eyes sweeping over the coffee table. Then her gaze landed on the fruit knife in the fruit bowl. Never wronged me? Ha. You destroy my entire life. Now, and that's not wronging me? Since I'm finished, then you're not getting off easy either. My life is already ruined. All because of you. Then come to hell with me. With a twisted scream, Lily snatched up the fruit knife. A flash of cold light. My mother didn't even flinch. She just stood there, staring, first at Lily's twisted face, then down at the knife. Buried in her own stomach. A sharp, punched-out sound escaped her. Her body locked rigid, her eyes wide with a kind of vacant shock as she stared at the handle protruding from her abdomen. She looked from the knife to Lily's contorted face. And the last flicker of light in her gaze simply vanished. Lily let go and stumbled back a couple of steps. She watched as my mother clutched her abdomen, slowly crumpling to the floor, blood rapidly soaking her clothes and the floor beneath her. The frenzied hatred on her face was instantly replaced by immense terror. She looked at her blood-stained hands, trembling all over. It wasn't me, it wasn't. Muttering, she suddenly turned and bolted out the still-open door like a startled rabbit, staggering away. The door stood wide open. Only my mother remained in the room. She lay on her side on the floor, blood still flowing, her face as white as paper. With great effort, she raised a hand, as if trying to grasp something. Her unfocused eyes looked toward the door, toward the direction Lily had fled. Her lips moved. No sound came out. I floated nearby, watching the scene, where my heart should be felt empty. No feeling at all. Not sad. Not vindicated. Just feeling absurd. It was all so utterly absurd. I lunged forward, wanting to call for help, wanting to press on the bleeding wound. But my outstretched hands passed right through her body. I screamed toward the door, help. Somebody. Help her. My voice echoed in the empty hallway. No response. No one could hear me. So I could only hover there, powerless, watching the breath of life within her grow fainter and fainter, until her eyes slowly closed and her chest no longer rose and fell. I don't know how long it was, a few minutes, maybe longer. The elderly neighbor across the hall came out to take out the trash, smelled the blood, peeked in, and let out a scream of horror. Sirens, ambulance sounds, rang out once more, just like they had for me. Doctors rushed in, checked, shook their heads. Massive blood loss. Too late. Time of death, 4:17 p.m. The white sheet was drawn up again. This time, the person underneath was my mother. I drifted among the cops and paramedics, a ghost at my own crime scene. I watched them take their pictures, bag the knife, zip her into a black bag, and carry what was left of her away. That puddle of dark red blood on the floor still held a trace of warmth, like the grand, ironic final curtain. My mother's death ignited public opinion all over again. The girl she treated as her own daughter killed her.
Talk about karma.
Mrs. White was no saint, but Lily Green is a murderer. Lock her up and throw away the key. This is some Shakespearean tragedy. The snake bites the hand that fed it. Two toxic people destroying each other. The world is better off. Can we all just agree Jessica was the only real victim here? Even in death, she can't get peace from there. Drama. Lily didn't get far. She hid in a shabby motel on the outskirts of town and was arrested by police the next day. Footage of the arrest, taken by a bystander, spread online. Her hair was a mess, her face deathly pale, her eyes vacant. She wore shiny handcuffs on her wrists. Not a trace remained of the well-behaved girl who had clung to my mother's side at the wedding. The trial was swift. The facts were clear, the evidence solid. First-degree murder. Lily cried hysterically in court, saying she didn't mean it. It was a momentary loss of control, a mental
Breakdown.
She said how sorry she was, how she'd wronged Mrs. White. But no one believed her anymore. Her lawyer tried and crime of passion defense, to little effect. In the end, she was sentenced to life in prison, without parole. John, the moment after Lily's arrest, had his lawyer serve divorce papers. He didn't even attend the trial. I heard he left the city, went somewhere no one knew him, wanted to start over. Amy texted me. A long one. Said she'd been to my grave. Left white lilies, my favorite. It's finally over. They got what was coming to them. Everyone knows the truth now. You can rest. She also said she'd live well, for both of us. Reading her words on the screen, something in the barren place inside me stirred like a single, fragile seed, pushing through cracked earth. A tiny white bud. Rest? I didn't know. My soul felt anchored here, going nowhere. One day, I floated to the cemetery. My headstone was new. The photo was from my college days, a bright, cheerful smile. Beside mine was a newer plot. Her headstone held the same professional photo she'd used for years. Blazer, soft smile, kind eyes looking just past the camera. Two graves side by side. Mother and daughter in life. Neighbors in death. How ironic. The sun was nice. Not many people around. I sat atop my own headstone, looking at the one beside it. Suddenly, I felt another presence beside me. I turned my head and saw my mother.
No.
My mother's soul. She was here too, wearing the blood-stained house clothes she died in, her face pale, her eyes confused. She saw me and froze. Then, those empty eyes suddenly blazed with an indescribable light. A chaotic mix of wild joy, guilt, sorrow, countless emotions. Just. She floated toward me, tried to take my hand. My hand passed through hers. We both froze. She looked at her transparent hand, then at me. Tears immediately spilled over. Jess, I'm sorry. Mom is so sorry. She knelt down, right there before my headstone, and sobbed uncontrollably. She said I was wrong. I really know she was wrong now. I shouldn't have neglected you, shouldn't have let you suffer so much injustice, shouldn't have not believed you. I wasn't a good mother. I doesn't deserve to be your mother. Forgive me, please? Give me a chance next life. In the next life, I will cherish you properly. Only you. I will make up everything I owed you, 10 times over. She cried like a child, apologizing, begging, over and over. Genuine remorse and pain filled her voice. I looked at her. This woman who gave me life, raised me, and then personally pushed me into the abyss. This woman who, perhaps only in her final moments, truly saw me. Her tears were real. Her regret was probably real too.
But, Mom.
Some wounds, once inflicted, are just there. Some things, once lost, are gone for good. Like my early admission spot. My clean, untarnished youth. My hopes for love. My last shred of trust in the word mother. And my life. Not every I'm sorry earns a it's okay. Not every hurt has a chance for amends. You ask if I forgive you? I looked at her, kneeling there, sobbing like her world had ended. Inside me there was nothing. No hate.
No. Love.
Not even an echo. It was like looking at someone I'd passed on the street years ago, someone I might have known once, whose name I'd forgotten. I shook my head. Just once. A small, final motion. No, I said, my voice clear in the quiet between us. I don't forgive you. Her crying stopped abruptly. She lifted her head, tears still on her face, her expression shifting from pleading to utter despair, a despair deeper than death itself. Her lips parted as if to say something more, but in the end, nothing came
Out.
She just remained kneeling, staring at me vacantly. Her eyes were terrifyingly empty. Just then, I felt my own form begin to grow lighter. A warm force seemed to rise from below, slowly, enveloping me. It felt good, like being back in the safest of swaddling clothes. I knew then. My time was finished. I was leaving, going somewhere I might finally stop. One last look at the woman who made me and unmade me, at the polished stone and the gentle, frozen smile etched upon it. Then I closed my eyes, letting that warm force carry me away. In the last moment before my consciousness dissolved, I thought I heard it, a broken, almost soundless cry, tearing out from somewhere behind me. From that soul, kneeling before the headstone, who would never receive a response again. But that was no longer any concern of mine. Sunlight passed through my fading form, spilling over 2 neighboring headstones.
Clean. Pure.
The end.